Welcome back to Hiking with Kathleen. We're here at the Pinery, and Shannon and I are just having a break right now because this is our first camping outing of the year. So, we're just getting ourselves all set up. We've got all the essentials all laid out. And when I say essentials, this is what I mean. We have Miley's tent all set up. We've got our trailer all set up. And we're working on getting our dining shelter all set up. So anyway, we're happy to have you along, and you'll be able to see the kinds of adventures we get into while we're here at Pinery Provincial Park. So we're really enjoying this site. We've been set up, I guess, for about 2 hours or so now. We're just sort of sitting back and just enjoying the view. And so we chose this site so that we would be able to have a view of the Osawa River. So the Osawa River is more pond-like than it is a river because it doesn't have a flow. It's been sort of cut off at either end in Grand Bend and then down in Port Franks. But it also attracts really interesting animals because of its marsh-like habitat. And Miley is getting a heck of a kick out of the different animals that are found on our site, namely chipmunks, and they are tormenting her. They've come to realize what her boundary is, and she chases them from within her cat tent, and then they just run right around or run towards the under part of her tent so that they I don't know. They're not being very fair to her, but she's being very, very stimulated right now because she's really interested. She's interested in what she's got around here. So, but anyway, yeah, we've got this really great setup and kind of neat where we can just do some bird watching right from our site. So, anything for you to add, considering this is our first camping outing?
Setup went fairly smooth, which is nice. We're gradually getting the hang of it and know each other's jobs. Yeah, I can't complain.
Yeah, it generally takes us a couple of hours to get everything set up. I mean, we've got the dining shelter, you've got to level the trailer, and then you move the slide out on the other side that extends the size of our dining area, and then you've got the awning. So then you set up your little dining area under that with the mats. Of course, you have to get Miley's tent all set up and get things unpacked that are inside, because every time we move to another site, you have to put everything away so that it doesn't fall off shelves and things like that. So every time you go to a new campground, it's a matter of having to do the setup all over again. And as I say, that takes a couple of hours. Our first stop when we came through the gates of the Pinery is we went to the water fill station. And that is the water inside the trailer that we use for washing, or for showering, or for washing dishes. We don't tend to drink the water from the provincial parks. We bring our own. We use those 5-gallon jugs of water with a water dispenser at the top. It's got a hose that runs right to the bottom of it. And then that way we know that the water should be okay, because you never know. Sometimes there could be a water warning of, high levels of bacteria or something. So anyway, we don't have to worry about that when we bring our own water here. But anyway, so we go to the water fill station, and then we get to the site and we get ourselves all set up. And then that's when we enjoy our break about 2 hours or so later. So anyway, this is a really nice kickoff. As you can see, we're wearing some sweaters or sweatshirts. It was really hot last couple of days, and now the temperatures, because we've had a lot of rain that has come through the area, so the temperatures have cooled down, and now it's sitting at about 14 degrees, which is perfect, because we'll be able to go cycling and do all kinds of fun things, and we're going to have a bonfire. So last summer, in some of the campgrounds we were in, the temperatures were really hot. we were not inspired to have a campfire at all. So 14 degrees Celsius, perfect. Lots of opportunity to huddle up to the fire tonight. So we had a really interesting experience where we saw some cyclists just crouched looking at something at the ground, and we wondered if one of them was in distress. But then when we asked if they were okay, they pointed out the painted turtle that was laying her eggs. So we watched that for a little bit, and then we went into a clearing, and that's where we saw a turtle cage, like an egg cage. So we spoke with the park naturalists that were just en route to where that painted turtle was laying her eggs. They knew that she was searching for a place that, you know, would be perfect for her to lay her eggs, but they're concerned about the high level of predation, namely by raccoons, who they'll dig up the eggs and eat them because they're opportunistic feeders, whatever it is that they happen to come across. So anyway, so that was kind of a neat sighting, that we had a chance to see a turtle that was laying her eggs, and then seeing what they will do and putting the cage over the eggs to keep them protected from predators.
You gotta warn me when you do that.
So we're going to head back to the site and have a bonfire and just relax for the rest of the night. But boy, I don't usually go for a hike at this time of day, at the end of the day where the sun is setting. Love the lighting. It's beautiful out here.
Where's the baby?
Well, this is good. Their day's work.
Playing with that
I don't know what spirit.
or pouncing on that chipmunk.
So I woke up to a beautiful day, and it's about 9 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to head down from the campsite in Riverside to the Burley Bridge. You may have seen the video where Shannon and I stayed in a rented cabin here at Pinery back in the month of April. So now it's in early June, and so I'm up early. Shannon's still in bed, and I'm gonna have a look at Burley Bridge and see what kind of wildlife is waking up with me. That beaver was clearly very accustomed to people. It just swam right past this platform, which is probably where a lot of people will view the wildlife or fish from this platform. So it just swam very casually right by me, not taking a wide, swing around me or anything. So anyway, that's pretty cool. That was pretty close to me. But it was just hard to follow because I had it zoomed in so much that I wanted to make sure I was getting its features for you to see. Anyway, I'll keep my eye open. That's what I was hoping about being out here at about 6:30 a.m. I woke up at about 6. So this is about 5 minutes away from Riverside Campground. So gorgeous. So gorgeous seeing the rising sun. You can see it's the water is kind of steamy. Now, I would have a hard time believing it's really that warm, but what happens is the steam rises because the water temperature is warmer than the air. The air is only 9, so that means that water surface temperature is even warmer. So, well, that's kind of interesting. All right, let's see what else we can find. So I just finished recording some pretty fascinating behavior. It was a beaver pair, and they were grooming each other. So that would be a bonding behavior. And incidentally, I ran into another person with a camera who was out nice and early this morning. And she's another former employee of Pinery Provincial Park. So it was neat to be able to talk to her and exchange some stories. But we're both out here loving the nature that we get to see on our own time. Well, no longer working here, but it's a place like this that inspires you to take such an active interest in nature. So we watched the 2 beavers who were just so absorbed in their task at hand that they didn't notice us for the longest time. And anyway, there's so much beauty. Now, I wish I could show you, and I'm not at a good angle to show you. The beavers have dammed up this area so that they have a high enough water level, and it's because there's only one route under this bridge, a culvert, to get the water to the other side. And so what they've done is they've put a lot of branches and twigs in front of it in order to, basically clog it or stop the flow of the water. I'll see if I can show you by showing you with this camera. When I looked over at the other side of Burley Bridge, it's the water levels are a lot lower than on this side, and so we see that the beavers have, clogged up the culvert. They built a dam there. So this side they have made to their liking so that it's deeper water. And that is probably the reason that viewing platform or sitting area has been flooded, because the water level is higher than it normally would be. The other side, it looks lower than it normally would be. So the beavers have done some structural alterations, and I don't know if the park staff then will remove it, because that will ultimately create higher water level over here, lower water level over there. What happens when bodies of water drop in the water level, plants that grow along the shoreline and ones that grow along the bottom, called emergent plants, they start to fill up that body of water. So it sort of swallows up the body of water, making it smaller and smaller. So the plants continue to fill in where they can set down their roots and sort of emerge out of the water. So that's what you often find. That's called succession. So when a body of water has changing water levels and the water levels get lower, plants start to fill in the pond. So eventually they become like a wet meadow. So I don't know if the park staff is going to alter what the beavers have struck out to do here to alter their water level. The reason that beavers will create dams and flood an area, which we then call beaver ponds, is because it leaves them less vulnerable, since they flood more of the surrounding area, so they don't have to be out of water as much when they're seeking out their food. So it's a pretty neat strategy. They're making it so that more food is available to them within the water's reach. So that's a really cool fact about beavers. This has been a wonderful experience to come out here first thing in the morning to Burley Bridge. In the video that I previously mentioned, where Shannon and I rented a cabin in the month of April here at the Pinery, we mentioned by coming here to the Burley Bridge that this is the southernmost bridge in the Provincial Park. If you want a better idea of the layout of the park, just maybe refer back to that video. And now that I think of it, Burley Campground is the most sensitive of the 3 campgrounds, so they may have delayed opening that. I'm just trying to remember, because when I worked here, I would have known all of this, but they may delay opening that until peak season, which would be the last weekend in June. And that's probably why I have not heard a single car go by. And I know not everybody's sleeping in till past 8 in the morning. So anyway, this is a perfect place to come because it's undisturbed. So animals are carrying on, like you saw those beavers, and it's turtle egg laying season, so it's perfect because turtles are able to meander around. Park staff, they're busy chasing them because they want to, be able to protect their freshly laid eggs from predators. So they wait until the turtle is finished, and then that's when they put down that cage, which we showed you yesterday. So anyway, I'm just really loving this. When I get back to the campsite, Shannon and I are going to head out for a bike ride after having some breakfast, and be able to explore the park a little bit more that way. But man, oh man, this is the way to see the park when everybody else is sleeping, or in pockets of the park where the traffic is minimal. There's only myself and one other former park staff member down here during this whole time that I've been here, which has been about 2 hours. So I'm back here on the site. Shannon's up. She's got her water underway, I guess, for her oatmeal.
Good morning.
Little Miss Miley wasn't cooperative this morning. I wanted to bring her out. I was going to sit out here and have my coffee. Then she was playing, "Come and get me, come and get me." So I figured you mustn't want to be out that badly. And maybe it's because the temperature wasn't really great. I mean, right now it's still about 9 degrees Celsius. According to the truck, it hasn't warmed up a whole lot, but it feels warmer than it was when I took off this morning. So this morning we had a chance to see a couple of beavers grooming each other right by the shore. The largest rodent in North America.
That's great, honey. I'm fogging up. I'm having a hot flash.
Yeah, so she'll see what I mean when she sees the footage. It was awesome. But anyway, nobody goes to the Burley Bridge. I was going to go to Riverside Campground or Riverside Trail.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 minutes away from here.
Oh, really?
So that's what I ended up doing so that I could sort of have my coffee, sit out at a platform, and that worked out really well because this way animals were basically coming to me. So it worked out. It was really quite neat. I just saw lots of turtle action and things of that nature. But it was just nice being in that peace and solitude. Not a single car went by. So I think it's because Burley probably doesn't open until the end of June, and that's just because it's the most sensitive campground. It was built on Burley Meadows, which is a wet meadow, and there's some orchids that are in there that are pretty rare. So
did you see them now, the orchids, or?
I didn't go into Burley Campground because I just figured the gate would still be closed.
So we can cycle in there.
We can cycle in, yeah. So anyway, so after we have a little bit of breakfast and after Miley has a chance to stretch her legs out here, we'll go for a bike ride and bring you along. Okay, so I'm out here on my first ride of the year, and Shannon and I are going to take in some of the sights here. Hi.
With you through fire and rain, hand in hand, my love, I'll keep you safe. Where will our story go? You're all I wanna know.
So now we're at the Store Bridge.
We're gonna be alright. I'm yours, you're mine. Our love is once in a lifetime. We're gonna be alright, even on the line, 'cause our love is once in a lifetime. Say it once, I'll say it time and again. You, my love, I'll be yours till the end. And so our story goes. You're all I'll ever know. Be alright, I'm yours, you're mine. Our love is once in a lifetime. We're gonna be alright, even on the line, 'cause our love is once in a lifetime. Your heart is every bit bit a part of me. Where you go, I go, 'cause your heart is every bit a part of me. When you hurt, I hurt, 'cause your heart.
So last time I brought the camera here, I came out for some swan viewing and came to the park, saw a sandhill crane, so it was a really neat day, but I was just up here for a day. And I showed you the lake at the time. There was an opening and the swans found it. Otherwise, it was all frozen. That was back in the month of March. So it's been maybe a year or two since Shannon and I cycled through here, and I see some changes that have occurred with regards to the road. So with the Great Lakes, there's been water erosion, and this is a clear sign of it because this is fairly recent, within the last year. We're at picnic area 9, and this is the one I quite enjoyed coming to because you could just drive right down here, and there was a long stretch that you could choose to, you know, set up if you're going to be lying on the beach, or for us where we could cycle along the road and be right next to the beach. But they don't allow cars down here, and now I can see why. I thought maybe again it was just because there's a skeleton staff and then there's fewer people, park staff, to look for people at the end of the day when day visitors are to be out by 10 p.m. But it looks like there's some repairs that need to be done, and I don't know if they can, without maybe adding concrete and some other barriers here. Excuse me. But anyway, but it's nice to be back at the lake. This is a beautiful experience. Hi there. So we just ended up riding along the road part of the bike trail, which is up through day use, and bikes occupy one lane, cars can travel the other lane. So we are now at the North Bridge. The Hickory and Bittersweet trails are across the road from one another. Those are nice trails because they both have viewing platforms that overlook the Asaba River. We did pass the Wilderness Trail on the way. It wasn't my favorite trail. It's because you're not going to be overlooking the river, so it's just through the woods and the dunes and that. But as I had mentioned in a previous video, my favorite way of traveling around the Pinery is doing trails that have a body of water to overlook. So anyway, so this is the north boundary of the park, or basically, I mean, the north boundary is not too far from here. And this is where the water is deep on one side, and on the other side of the road, it's fairly shallow. We saw that there are some canoeists that have come down from the store, which is where you can rent your canoes, or you can launch your own canoe in a little sort of a ramp area that's not too far from the store. So we'll have a look around here. I videoed a deer while we were riding along through that day use area, It's just that you don't get to see deer at the Pinery very often, and that's because on occasion they are culled. They are thinned out because the deer herd has a serious vegetation impact on the Pinery. And there's a lot of uncommon or rare species of plants here in the park. So the deer used to sort of overrun the place, and there wasn't a natural predator for them really. Yeah, you have coyotes here, but really just young deer or very, very old and maybe frail adults are ones that the coyotes could kill. So now they come in and they do that on a periodic basis where the deer are hunted and therefore they're thinned out a little bit. So we'll just enjoy the peacefulness at this end of the park. This GoPro mount requires 2 hands to change it, to change the position of the camera. Otherwise, we could have had you looking at that singer that came up behind me. So we just finished a nice little break sitting out on the North Bridge, and then we got hungry. So we're heading back to the site to have a little bit of a lunch and some equipment changes that we'll be making. So anyway, probably see you back there. So you may remember in one of our videos from last summer, we had our kayaks and we went up and down the Asabo River. So this is where we stopped for lunch. So there's a lot of paddlers on the water today. It's a really nice calm day. What kind of a day was it when we were paddling our kayaks?
It was pretty windy. It was hard to steer them.
We didn't enjoy that. It was a lot of work to try to, you know, get the kayak to cooperate and go where you wanted it to go. But on a day like today, oh my God, it'd be a really memorable experience, right? Mm-hmm. It'd be nice and smooth. So anyway, that's the boardwalk that was across from there. So that would be for the Heritage Trail. That's the boardwalk that sort of ends the Heritage Trail, and then you have to double back. So yeah, anyway, we'll continue on. Good morning. So here we are. This is day 3 at Pinery, and Shannon and I are just going to go on a little bit of a tour around the Pinery. She's equipped with her camera. I've got my cameras, and we didn't do very much earlier today other than I started to do some video editing for the video you're watching right now. And we're sitting out here at about 20 after 11. It was very, very, very rainy last night. It kept us up for I guess most of the night. But that's okay. It didn't seem as though we had any huge puddles around here, so I guess the ground was able to absorb it all. And with our slow start, we're now heading out for our adventures for today. Yesterday, we didn't get into very much after our bike ride. We were quite happy to have seen a drive-by by some of Shannon's friends, a woman that she used to work with and her husband. And we saw them when we were camping another season. So anyway, they stopped by, we asked them back for a drink, and we ended up having a real nice visit with them. So that was kind of the grand finale of the night. We started packing up a little bit of our stuff yesterday because we knew the rain was coming in. So we put our bikes away, they're on the back of the trailer, or on the front of the trailer I should say, and we took down our dining shelter. But anyway, everything else is still set for our fun for today. So Shannon and I just got back from the visitor center, and we had a chance to tour it around and check out the exhibits, make a couple of small purchases. And so we're back at our site, time for lunch, and we'll continue on with the afternoon. So she and I will probably finish off the firewood tonight, have a nice little bonfire, and that'll finish off our stay here at the Pinery.